Come and listen into the radio station where the mighty host of heaven sing. Turn your radio on. Oh yes, turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. If you want to hear the songs of Zion coming from the land of endless spring. Get in touch with God. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio on. Oh yes, turn your radio on. Listen to the music and turn your radio on. Oh yes, turn your radio on. Heaven glory share. Oh yes, turn your lights down low. Listen to the Master's radio. Get in touch with God. Get in touch with God. Turn your radio on. Turn your radio.
A short history. For 63 years, Rediffusion, as it was commonly called, was an integral part of Barbadian society. It was the lifeblood of communication for the population, especially during World War II, 1939 to 1945, and Hurricane Janet, which September 22, 1955. Barbados was the first British colony to have the rediffusion service in 1934. It was a cable service, and it was a common sight to see the rediffusion box hanging in the corner of the front room of a Barbadian home. If you didn't have one, gather around your neighbors and listen to your favorite program. For many people, this radio station was the standard bearer of good diction and journalism. The station started broadcasting at 6 a.m. and ended at midnight with the playing of the British national anthem. Many people left their radio on to alert them in case of an emergency and also as an alarm to wake them in the morning. It started programs with the morning service and then the death announcements.
Here is Jimmy Clitheroe as the Clitheroe Kid, with Peter Sinclair, Patricia Burke, Danny Ross and Diana Day.
We present Kenneth Williams, Clement Freud and Geraldine Jones in Just a Minute. And as the minute waltz fades away, here to tell you about it is Nicholas Parsons.
Portia Faces Life. The world's most popular bran flake cereals, Post 40% Bran Flakes and Post Raisin Bran present Portia Faces Life, a story reflecting the courage, spirit, and integrity of American women everywhere.
The World Tomorrow. The Worldwide Church of God presents Herbert W. Armstrong, bringing you the plain truth about today's world news and the prophecies of the world tomorrow.
We bring you radio's great story of adult love, the story of Dr. Paul.
In the studio. The Rediffusion studios gave entertainers the chance to be heard live throughout Barbados. Many entertainers from the 1950s and 1960s did their first recordings at the Rediffusion studios on River Road. Many of them also got their first big break on the Children's Party, which live on Saturday mornings, and Teensville hosted by Jeffrey Cobham. During the 1940s and 1950s, a city character by the name of Talalala would go around Bridgetown announcing the BBC News. He would begin all his broadcasts with his rendition of Big Ben, just like the real 7 o'clock BBC News heard on Rediffusion.
BBC presents Jet Morgan in Journey into Space.
And now, your own company presents Aunt Mary, a Good Neighbor. Radio's human story about real people.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present The Navy Lark with our 3 stars, Dennis Price, John Pertwee, and Leslie Phillips.
Foreign programs. What about programs from over and away, like Portia Faces Life, 8:30 a.m. weekdays, Dr. Paul, 8 p.m. weekdays, The Reverend Matthew, Mary Lane, later Aunt Mary, Life Can Be Beautiful with Papa David, Rita, Stephen Hamilton and Shishi, The Shadow, The Navy Lark, Kid Grayson Rides the Range, Dossier on Demetrius, The Firefighters starring Tim Collins, Journey into Space, Second Spring, 1 p.m. weekdays, The Goon Show, A Life of Bliss, The Clit Kid, 12:30 p.m. Sunday, Steptoe and Son, Just a Minute, Heartbeat Theater, My Cousin Rachel, Round the Horn with Kenneth Horne, Herbert W. Armstrong, The World Tomorrow, Much Binding in the Marsh, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., Carmen Cavallero Show, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m., Take It From Here, 9:30 to 10 p.m., When a Girl Marries, Top of the Pops, My Word, Sherlock Holmes, Art Linkletter and the Kids, Housewives' Choice, BBC's Sports Roundup, The Chuckwagon Gang on Sunday, The Hour of Decision with Billy Graham at 3 p.m., and Victor Sylvester and his orchestra.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the original and immortal stories of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, dramatized anew, with Sir Ralph Richardson as Dr. Watson and Sir John Gielgud in the role of Sherlock Holmes.
The Prudential Insurance Company of America presents When a Girl Marries, dedicated to all those who are in love and to those who can remember.
Bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire, 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters.
Life Can Be Beautiful, written by Carl Bixby and Don Becker and brought to you by Spick and Span. Yes, Spick and Span, the new cleaner that cleans with no rinsing, no wiping.
Now, for the young in heart and weak in the head, it's Down the Hall.
The BBC presents A Life of Bliss. Being another episode in the life of David Alexander Bliss, better known to us as George Cole. Helping him to tell the story are Diana Churchill, Colin Gordon, Gladys Young, Petula Clark, Gladys Henson, Ernest J., Percy Edwards, Ruth Trouncer, Elsa Palmer, and the BBC Variety Orchestra conducted by Paul Fenoulet.
We now present another episode in a radio series based on the world-famous BBC comedy success, Steptoe and Son. With Wilfred Bramble as Albert and Harry H. Corbett as Harold.
Local programs. Local programs included Children's Party, 8:30 a.m. Saturday, with Joe Tudor as Uncle Joe and Dennis the Menace, Keith Campbell, piano, on to Pat Carpenter, on to Doris Provençal, on to Olga Lopesy, on to Dorothy Smale, Gospel Concert Hall, The Quiet Time, listener's choice, rhythmic moments, music to remember was on daily during weekdays, 1:02 p.m., Flying High with Jim Kidd, Joe Tudor, and The Mighty Charmer was a talent show, Let's Go Somewhere with Joe Tudor on Sunday afternoons, Sportlight, Dateline International with Leslieson, It's a Women's World with Louise Lynch and later Carolyn Barrow, wife of Errol Barrow, Uncle Norman, Wood, Yours Truly, Olga, Beautiful Music, Sunday Magazine, The Music Room, Music in Many Moods, Bajan Bandstand, Requests, Showers of Blessing, Classical Requests, Fisherman's Corner, In Orbit, Rhythm in the Sun, Roundabout, Starlight Serenade, Works of Masters, Sunday Symphonette with Doris Provençal, 8:30 p.m. Sunday, Teensville with Jeffrey Cobham, co-host was Pat Mosley, then the late Rickard Springer, then the late Christine Zephyrin, All Things Wonderful, and local religious broadcast, Anglican on Mondays, F.C. Pemberton, Wednesdays, H. St. C. Tudor, and Fridays, Canon Hazelwood, Dean of St. Michael's. Tuesdays and Thursdays, it was the Methodists with Derek Leider, or M.A.E. Thomas or Albert Eimer, and Saturdays, Catholic, the Church by the Side of the Road with Reverend James Massey.
We present Peter Sellers, Harry Seacombe, and Spike Milligan in The Boom Show!
Yes, it's number one. It's Top of the Pops.
Radio personalities. Some radio personalities heard on Rediffusion: Frank Pardo, Olga Lopez Seal, made a dame of St. Andrew in 2005, Joe Tudor, Alfred Pragnell, Julian Rogers, Doris Provençal, Pat Carpenter, Jim Kidd, Carlisle Johnson, Carolyn Barrow, wife of Errol Barrow, Norman Wood, Joe Harrison, Jeff Neal, Keith Campbell, Irvin Skinner, Nick Stanford, George Misbah, Yusuf Ali, Tony Best, Larry Mayers, Harold Tull, Oliver Chandler, Peter Dan Scott, Hugh Riley, Drew Russell, Irving Skinner, Carson Small, Carl Moore, and sports commentators Don Norville, Leslie Shell Harris, Sam Wilkinson, Oscar O.S. Coppin, Harold Ricochet Kidney, Dave Barnard, Mike Goddard, Gary Richards, Tucker, Colin Bellamy, Algie Simmons, Stanton Gittins, Leslieson, and Captain Peter Short. General Managers of Barbados Rediffusion Services Ltd, Mr. H. J. Whitnell 1935–1939, Mr. J. M. Lang 1939–1951, 1. Colonel Roy Oliver 1951–1967, Gary Dewsbury 1967–1988, and Vic Fernandez 1988–1997.
My word.
A panel game devised by Tony Shrine and Edward J. Mason. And here to introduce the teams is Michael O'Donnell.
Dossier on Demetrius.
Showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops from the sun falling, but for the showers we plead.
This is the radio voice of the Church of the Nazarene, shared transcribed by thousands from coast to coast, and by shortwave around the world.
Tonight starring Olivia de Havilland in My Cousin Rachel with Ron Randell. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Irving Cummings.
The lighter side of rediffusion. A Bajan thing, you started the day off with the death announcements. If you did not hear your name, you knew you were living so you could get out of bed. Sometimes it was the only way of knowing who had died. We used the rediffusion as an alarm clock. You left the read on all night to alert you to any emergency and to wake you up in the morning. If you were out courting and you heard the national anthem playing, you knew it was time to leave. Shell Harris, while commentating on a local boxing match, he was heard saying 1 2 2 3 1 2 2 1 3 2 3 1 2 2 3 1 1 2 2 3 1 1 2 2 3 3 1 1 2 1 2. When the round ended, and all the punches had been thrown, Shell explained that the ones were the rights, the twos were the lefts, and the threes were too fast for me to see. Another Shell Harris story, it is on the funeral of Sir Frank Worrell that when the cathedral clock chimed, that shell pealed. That is the sound of the cathedral clock. It is a French clock, but it chimes in English. Cricket commentary, Don Norville in a cricket commentary on rediffusion, exclaiming that the batsman played forward defenselessly and was bowled. Another rediffusion commentator was heard to say that the bowler bowled an injudicious ball, the batsman played an injudicious shot, and he was out injudiciously. Caspar Coward recalls, in the old days, hearses used to be equipped with a gramophone and a speaker to play some hymns during the funeral procession to the church. One old lady commented, "Tell them when I dead, don't play any rediffusion above my head." Theo Williams recalls, the story of the old woman who poured some porridge in the back of her rediffusion speaker because, "Dad man did talkin' so long he got to be hungry." The rediffusion ghost, it is alleged that a ghost roams the River Road building. One night, while Vic Fernandez was working late alone, something mysteriously locked him in his office. After that incident, he never shut the door to his office.
I tell you something. That Papa I walking with say he won't come to Carnival. I go and buy a decent suit from any Wilson. Nice lamia taffeta. Ever see how that idiot dress up to come down here? I shame to walk with him. I had to left you out in the crowd car. I can let him body look on I can associate with him. He's that. Yes, sir.
Oh, there you are, Banksmere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awfully great pleasure to
yes,
be here.
Sir. Yes, sir.
How do you like my dress?
Now, folks, look at this pop got's brute. I mean,
what do you say, Banksmere?
I say pop got that your stomach is edible.
Oh, thanks,
yes, sir.
It's all the native food we've been having. Salt fish
yes.
And, what was the other thing?
Breadfruit, cocoa, and stew.
Bessie Brather does an awfully good job of that.
A good thing you don't understand it better than too well, sir, you poppy.
Thanks, me, your
yes, sir.
Your terms are so
no, that's Bajan, you know, sir.
What's it for, Banksby? What does it mean?
Yes, sir. It means that you is an unadulterated.
What, Banksby?
That means you're the poppet, sir. Not a halfway mark, sir.
I'm afraid I don't quite get that, Banksby. Anyhow, we'll pass it over in silence.
Yes, sir.
What I mean is...
enjoy the carnival, do sir?
Rather.
Oh, what is that, sir?
I said rather.
Carnival don't have no rather than it, sir. It is a festival.
Could we have some music, you think?
TWYST, twist. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hold it, Uncle Keith. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Lord was practicing. He says he wishes... Or you wishes, sir, or you has wish?
I have great desire to, Banksby.
He has a great intention.
Desire.
Intention.
Desire.
Intention.
Okay, intention.
You want to sing.
As I do, Banksby, I would like all the people here to know that I'm fascinated with the island.
And the calypso.
And the calypso. I think it's a great form of art.
Yes.
And I shall definitely, when I go home, take it with me. Really, Banksby, there's no need to be personal.
No, nothing personal, sir. I was only telling them the almighty dentures. Some of your face and some of your mouth.
National health scheme, Banksby, not my fault.
Now,
the point is this, that I was saying how wonderful your island is. I think it's just madly gay.
Oh.
And the people are so full of life and activity.
Now, ladies, I used to knock you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it fills my heart with the greatest of ecstasy upon this auspicious occasion to introduce my lord, singing a calypso, Gina and Dinah. Now be silent, cause
now,
you
I
can't
think
sing.
there's one thing in English.
Just a minute. Here, let's to pick up the music.
You see, I find the native dialect is lacking considerably in good English words.
Good English.
So I thought I would make a sort of addition to it
and
and
you can get
help
up for
it,
this
you know.
song, too. This is the best calypso thing down here.
Let's go ahead. Keith?
Now, Gina and Dinah.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Jean and Dinah. Sabra and Nudima. Round the corner posing. One could bet his life there's something for sale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're doing good.
Nelson Street and Harry's. You can get it all for nothing.
What?
Don't make a row. Sparrow's gone. Lord Simpleton's taken over now.